One of the ways you can really tell what someone believes is what they say when it's advantageous for political purposes and what they say when the rubber really meets the road, whenever they're in a legal context, for example. And it's fascinating to see how proud of, for example, the 2020 election lies a lot of MAGA outlets and leaders will be. I know and believe the followers, most of them genuinely believe the election lies, but the perpetuators of those lies, many of them don't. And seeing how confident they are to just spout that off in front of a crowd, in front of a rally, versus when they could be sued for it, or they're actively being sued for those claims, which they could defeat those suits by just demonstrating the proof they say that they have. Fascinating distinction. And so you'll see in this, and it was actually Mediaite that caught this, Trump election lie gets edited out of Don Jr. Newsmax interview amid bombshell lawsuit. And right now we're seeing a revitalization of the 2020 conspiracies going around right-wing media. And so Don Jr., you'll see in the first clip in the originally broadcasted version what he says about the 2020 election. And then you'll see a little transition, and Mediaite put together what they published to their YouTube channel where they snip that part out because they are currently still engaged in their lawsuit with Dominion Voting Systems and already had to settle for $40 million their Smartmatic lawsuit. They say, like Fox News, these hosts would defend till the day they die that they believe the election. But when it comes down to just demonstrating that in court, then all of a sudden they're a lot more meek. And then after this clip, we'll get to, in this interview, what he was promoting, the funniest little, most ironic update to the Trump phone initiative.
He used to run on ideas, may not have agreed with them, but they had ideas. For the last 10 years, because of your father's escalator ride, they've just run on one thing, anti-Trump.
Correct. And I think it's sort of interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone with an IQ above about 3, doesn't think that we won the 2020 election now.
The majority of the country doesn't believe that. So the majority of the country has a lower IQ than 3. They say that we talk down to them. And they say we all don't have an IQ above 3.
I'm not cognitively.
They get that. But I think the Democrats also did us such a huge service, playing that game. All they had to do was shut up. Let them have it. We now have a team that is sort of battle tested. They had 4 years of hell. We know who the guys that are the real warriors. So it's the first time we actually have a real bench, of viable candidates who are fighters, who fight for the America First movement. So
he's talking about himself, by the way. He keeps saying that there's a bench. He doesn't want people to just assume Vance is going to be the nominee because he wants to be.
Yeah, I think that was perhaps the death knell to the Democrat Party. But I think honestly it was probably pretty similar to what was then the traditional neocon Republican establishment.
So that's the version that was originally broadcasted. But then, in publishing on their YouTube channel this interview, which I thought Trump said editing to change the meaning of an interview was election interference or whatever, with his 60 Minutes lawsuit when they didn't change the meaning. But here they actually change the meaning. They take out, and you'll see how abrupt it is, what he was saying. While you're watching this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show.
They used to run on ideas, may not have agreed with them, but they had ideas. For the last 10 years, because of your father's escalator ride, they've just run on one thing, anti-Trump.
Correct. We now have a team that is sort of battle tested. They had 4 years of hell. We know who the guys that are the.
So they jump over that, which, in the wake of Elon going, Trump's in the Epstein files, blah, 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 and then a few seconds later deleting it, not seconds, days, and saying, I may have made some comments that I regret previously. And my statement was, if you're going to accuse someone or allude to the accusation of someone being a pedo, which is what he was accusing him of there, you got to stand by that. Before you post it, you have to decide, can I really stand by such a claim? And then you got to stand by it. It's not one of those things where you go, oh, whoopsie, I called him an idiot. Maybe I shouldn't have said idiot. That's such an allegation that you either don't say it or you say it and you stand by it. Similarly, if Newsmax is going to support Trump like they do and perpetuate his lies, and all their hosts, if asked, would say they think the 2020 election was illegitimate, then you have to stand by that. That's yours. That's your argument. Why are you snipping it out? Because it could lead to more lawsuits and you can't defend that. But the election stuff is one of the most, which is why I talked about it so much and so many people did as it was happening 2021, 2022, because we knew once that's engraved, it's not just about that one lie. It's about the detachment from a common truth, which elections usually were that. You could hate the outcome, but we all agree that it was the outcome. We become so detached. And now that applies to so many things. Like, I don't know about y'all. I don't know about y'all. Not this morning we had a surprising little something, and I maybe don't know you as well as that. This might get me into hot water, so just get ready, okay? I am happy that slavery was abolished. I am. I'm happy we got rid of slavery. And I am willing to say that. I am happy and I want to celebrate getting rid of slavery. Now, you're thinking, what an absurd way to say that, Luke. That's not a brave stance. That's every American stance. Right? Wrong. Charlie Kirk said, Juneteenth should not be a federal holiday. Juneteenth, today, celebrating the end of slavery. He also railed against MLK. But it's not because of any of the reasons you would be thinking. It's because of what DEI. It's because of DEI. Whenever he says we shouldn't have MLK Day, or, which I'm fine with being like Civil Rights Day or something, like it doesn't have to be one person's name, but to honor that movement, including MLK's role in it, or Juneteenth. What is a better thing to celebrate than getting rid of slavery? I mean, that's pretty good, right? Wrong. I mean, I go back to this, and I promise we'll get to the Trump phone thing. It's hilarious, but I don't know what we do when we're in a place where one side believes an election result was legitimate, the other side thinks it was illegitimate, and we won't agree on that. And one side is correct. Okay, by the way, it's not like which one is true. One side says, let's celebrate getting rid of slavery. And the other side says, it's a little woke. And one side says, hey, let's not celebrate the Confederates. And the other side says, rename the forts back to Robert E. Lee. I say this over and over. I don't want you to be portrayed as that word, the bad word. I don't want you to be portrayed, MAGA, as having the worst intentions. Okay? Right? We try to stay away because I know it comes off, it's overused. I don't want people to just say, it's just because you have some racist intent, right? That's not the case. It's about you want tariffs, right? No new wars, except for if Trump wants to start one. But, no new wars. It's about getting rid of, it's about trans athletes, right? Right? I want it for you. But then you come and in like the last 2 weeks, you said you don't want, Charlie Kirk is out saying that when he gets on a plane, or was it his co-host or him? When he gets on a plane and it's a black pilot, he's scared because of DEI and maybe they're going to be unqualified, and that you don't think MLK should be celebrated, and that you don't think we should have Juneteenth celebrating the end of slavery, and that you think we should rename forts back to Robert E. Lee, who fought for the Confederacy, and according to Matt Walsh was just a good guy, just a good, loving guy. I'm not going to jump to conclusions about that, but other people might. I think other people might take the wrong conclusion from you going through that list. I think they might take the wrong conclusions. Now, I saw right-wing accounts circulating this. 1 year ago, Biden was celebrating Juneteenth. Let's roll it. Joe, calm down. You're going to pull something. Get out of here. They call it a fist pump. You give me a fist pump. I love Juneteenth. We say, let's celebrate. Good time. You hear that song? Celebrate good times. If I move, you might catch me. Listen, y'all know I've had very sober takes on the aftermath of the end of the Biden administration. But given what we're seeing now, would it be ideal? No. But would I prefer to go back? Yes, I would. I would. I'd rather a frozen Biden or whatever. This is how 80-year-old white dudes dance, baby. It's how they dance. Gross the economy. That's how they dance. You move too fast, the knee's gonna fall out. You gotta be careful. So, but apparently MAGA doesn't think we should. Not MAGA. That's overgeneralizing. Charlie Kirk. Now, he probably has a reason. Like, I think that people make that. Let me actually, you know how I like to actually give you what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying sometimes. What? But okay, let's say, I think I've heard something like, celebrating Juneteenth, we should just celebrate July 5th because some people see Juneteenth as the real founding of the country because it couldn't have really been founded on the principles of individual rights if it was founded with the context of slavery, right? I guess. So they're going, don't tarnish the founding by saying that we should also celebrate when there was actually some step toward what we were promising with the founding of America. This is the promise of America, folks. Liberty, justice, not slavery. I think that's somewhere in the Bill of Constitution thing. So I guess that's what they're saying. But guys, it's sort of like, how do I say this? It's sort of like if you, like, let's go with this. Like, let's say some guy said, I grab women by their crotch and they let me do it because I'm a star, right? You would be like, they don't necessarily sexually assault people, but them saying that really makes it seem like they do. You know, like if someone would have said that I grab them by their you-know-what and they let me do it and I don't even ask, right? Like if someone would have said that, a lot of people would go, that guy seems to be a predator. You would go, no, locker room talk, right? Like that's similarly when you go, I don't want Juneteenth, MLK Day, Black Pilot, etc. It comes, I want Robert E. Lee, woo! Let's have Robert E. Lee Day instead. Is your maybe, I don't know. It comes off wrong. Fair? Is that fair, MAGA? It feels fair. I feel like I'm being really fair. I'm glad no one ever said that, though, about women, because that would be, like, we would not want them to be a local post office manager, much less president. I saw a MAGA account post this. He stole the election. This is supposed to be liberals. 2016, he stole the election. 2020, elections can't be stolen. 2024, he stole the election. No, that's you. What? That's what y'all did, but just reversed. What a weird meme. That's what y'all did. Okay. Now, this is the best part. I predicted. It wasn't the craziest prediction. I'm not patting myself on the back. Okay? But you remember, I'll show you a little flashback of us talking about the Don Jr., Eric Trump launch of the Trump phone and my vibe, right? I was like, I don't know much about this, but maybe it doesn't seem, could this? Probably. And so here's that, and then we'll look at if my intuition was correct.
You can build these phones in the United States. Our customer service is in the United States. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. We can add more functionality. We can do it cheaper.
Wait, this is such suspicious wording. I always go back to the detective example. Did you murder this person? I can say that I definitely wouldn't murder. can say that definitely won it. So is it manufactured here? It can be.
We're doing the same thing with Trump Mobile right now. I'm incredibly excited. You can build these phones in the United States.
You can.
Our customer service is in the United States. It's in St. Louis, Missouri. We can add more functionality. We can do it cheaper. We can do it better. And eventually all the phones can be built in the United States of America. We have to bring manufacturing back here. And so our ethos is...
Yeah. Yeah. And eventually I'm not going to eat any cheeseburgers. All right, let me just ask him one question. Is this going to be an utter failure?
Yeah.
So it seems the vibe of something sounds weird when he goes, we could make it in America. We promise that 100% every single phone will absolutely have the capability of being made in the United States. And it was like, well, it seems it just might be getting made in China.
China!
That's right. Trump's new all-American smartphone is made in China. Now, this headline's a little bold. I don't know if we know that for certain, but it's sort of connecting the dots. The new all-American smartphone being sold by President Donald Trump's family is reportedly manufactured in China. Is he going to tariff his own phone? That would be crazy. The just launched Trump Mobile is selling a gold iPhone. Don't get this. Despite the device's base model, albeit without the gilded trim or Trump branding, being available on Amazon for just $169. Yeah, there's just a lot of sussy. Is that it? Sussy. I've been hanging with the Gen Z. I won the youth vote because I said sussy, wussy, sussy on a bussy. That confirms cynicism that Trump Mobile could manufacture a smartphone in the U.S. by August, which is the shipping date promised to those who pre-ordered the device. No major smartphone is manufactured in America, a point that recently came up as Trump threatened to impose steep tariffs on tech companies. The Trump organization, which is owned by the president but run by his eldest sons, did not respond, obviously. Now, a little point before getting back to that, they've totally botched their rollout, which you saw in the end of that compilation that I said, is it going to be a failure, and had Eric Trump say yes. They've already botched it. 404 Media reported that an attempt to pre-order the device resulted in their reporter's card being undercharged on the $100 deposit. Nexus screen displayed an error message before an address for the product's eventual shipping could be given. The website failed. It had all of these problems. But it's possibly even plausible that these phones would initially come from China because at that price point, only Chinese makers have the hardware capabilities to do it. And you have CNN reporting on this as well. Experts told CNN they're skeptical and they're thinking that it might be just, they pointed out striking similarities between the T1 specifications and an already available Chinese-made phone. Unless they did some crazy thing and no one noticed, is the summarization of that. It's not going to be manufactured here. But it could be. It could be. And maybe it will. Probably won't. Maybe it will. We don't know for sure. That's where I'll leave it. Share your thoughts in the comments.